In this video, we're going to talk about the TriMetrixEQ assessment, what it is and how it can help you. Like other leading tools on the market to measure emotional intelligence, TriMetrixEQ gives you an in-depth look at your own level of emotional intelligence. But it goes further. It also gives you the tools you need to develop your emotional intelligence. TTI Success Insights produces the technology behind TriMetrixEQ, which has been around over 15 years. TTI has been making leading-edge personal assessments for 40 years now. They're based in Scottsdale, Arizona. TriMetrixEQ is built on 3 different but integrated sciences: EQ, behavior science, and motivation. The online survey is completed in about half an hour, and there's just less than 100 questions total in it. What you get for that are 36 different factors so that you have a very fine-grained look at what your emotional intelligence is, and being built as a competency model, you know what your actual skill level is in the different domains of emotional intelligence. TTI Success Insights has one of the most robust research organizations behind it. They do ongoing validation and norming of their tools to make sure that they're current and that they're accurately measuring what they claim to measure. They're also available in many different languages. TriMetrixEQ is currently available in over 13 languages, and TTI has done millions of assessments around the world. So there's likely a version of TriMetrixEQ available in a language that you want to take it in. That's important because research done in TTI's Brain Lab shows that whenever people respond to surveys in their own native language, we get the most valid and accurate assessment results compared to doing it in a second or a third language that's not your native tongue. How can TriMetrixEQ help you? When I first heard of emotional intelligence, it sounded like something I'd like to have. And if I had predicted my own level of EQ, I probably would have given myself pretty high marks. That's not an uncommon situation. Many leaders that I've talked to just in a casual conversation would rate themselves high on things like self-awareness or empathy and being able to tune into other people and to also work with emotions. What I found though, using TriMetrixEQ, is that often there's certain gaps that we didn't know we had. Getting a very objective and a data-rich report that gives feedback on different specific areas of emotional intelligence is a really powerful tool. So that's one of the first benefits of TriMetrixEQ. You have an objective measure of your actual emotional intelligence in current terms. Second of all, being a competency-based tool, not a trait-based model of EQ, means that TriMetrixEQ actually gives you some feedback and some indicators of where you can focus your attention to actually improve your emotional intelligence. One of the things I've come to appreciate about this tool is it trains me in my thinking about emotional intelligence. It's clarified how I approach things like awareness and regulation of emotions, both within myself and when I'm working with other people. It also helps us to distinguish between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, something that people usually talk about, but there's really not very many good measures on the market between these two important but different types of motivation. And being able to go in depth and have a conversation at a deeper level to understand what drives me, but also the things that I'm intrinsically motivated by, is a really helpful feature of the TriMetrixEQ assessment. Now, the tool itself and responding to the online survey is helpful. Once you've had a debrief with a trained expert is when you really start getting some of the value of this tool brought out in a coaching session where you can really see what are the action items and things to work on now and in the near future in helping you master this incredibly important soft skill called emotional intelligence. So that's a quick overview of the TriMetrixEQ assessment tool. We use it here at Leadskill And I work with leaders on a regular basis to understand more about themselves and their teams in terms of emotional intelligence. If that's something that you'd be interested to learn more about, get in touch with us. We'd be happy to give you a preview of it. If you haven't already, subscribe to our channel and stick around and watch the next video to learn more about what Leadskill does with leadership and emotional intelligence.